welcome back everybody to another new episode of A Whole New World with me, your host, Jacob New. We're here to put a spotlight on positive things happening in the community and developing that positive mindset. So, I'm here today, first off, to give you your daily dose of dad jokes. Yeah! And so without any further ado, the joke for this week is, so I was talking with my son and he came up to me and he's like, can I have a bookmark? I just started crying because 11 years and he still doesn't know my name's Brian. Love it. I love him. So today is a podcast where you just get me, Jacob New. Today our focus is 6 different ways for us to grow in our happiness, as thought of and told by moi, your fearless podcast host. So without any further ado, here we go. So one of the first things that I have written down is to help grow in our happiness is to grow in our faith, just becoming stronger in your faith. Faith is one of those things that's hard to understand, hard to grasp, but once you start understanding it and starting to live by those principles that your faith teaches, it starts to change you. And faith has this really incredible power to transform people. So, and I think of the movie Mercy Me, how faith was able to transform, or God was able to transform his father from this mean, drunk, hating, like just everything person to a person that Bart wanted to be. Bart's the singer, so and main character in that, and that just something. It's so powerful. And I'm sitting here and thinking about my own faith, and I've been growing. I'm doing different things, doing a devotional, reading the Bible every day, and those are just praying, and those are just different things that I'm doing on my journey to help increase. And that it's going to look different for everybody. And faith is one of those things that it doesn't come to you in an instant. You don't just, boom, faith. It takes many exposures until eventually then it starts to kind of click. And that's when, it seems like it was just in one instant, but it's built up over a long period of time. But those little changes, those little things that you start to do to build and grow in your faith. And I think of faith as like our moral compass. It kind of guides us in the directions that we need to go, that helps us with making our decisions. And so knowing that, it just kind of helps making decisions easier and just takes a load off. And so it's one of those things. So there's the first one, is to be strong, to grow in your faith. Next one that I have is to be grateful. And I think it goes hand in hand with our faith, but showing gratitude, being thankful for the things that you have, it starts to change, because we all have this inner voice going on in our head that's saying this and this. And so when you're being intentional and you're starting to thank people for things, or just be thankful for and appreciate the things that are around you, it starts to change that inner voice and what it's saying. And so when that little inner voice starts changing, that's when you start to change and you start to see a difference as well. And that one just doesn't really that's a whole big topic that we're going to be getting into actually within the next month. So I'm very excited about that. But, and so it's just another one where it's just, you just build a little things that add up to a big result. And so with that, being grateful and showing the gratitude, leads me to the next one of being present. And this is something that I know I personally struggle with. And since COVID has really, really helped me and caused me to reassess and think about things and times that I need to be more present and just there for the people around me. And I think of how many times have I come home and caused my wife to think that, to feel a certain way, whether I'm mad at her or something because I go in and I want to do something, or she's talking to me and I'm on my phone. And so it's now becoming more of a conscious choice for me that I need to be more aware and I need to be more present in the situation, in the conversation, and just being there for people, because I think that's what we all need. And when you're there for other people and you're listening, you're showing that you care. They often tend to reciprocate what you have to say, and so sometimes, actually, I think every time. You need to be the one that gives before you get. And there's a saying that, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And so it's kind of one of those things. You can be trying to help somebody in this and have good intentions, but until you're present with them in that moment, you're sharing in their pain, you're sharing in whatever they're feeling. You're not trying to change them or do whatever. You're just there and you're present for them. That does wonders for people and changes them, and then eventually changes you, because you're there and you can learn many different things from this situation. You can learn from their joys. Helping other people and seeing their happiness can transform you. It is very, very powerful. And, I'm talking about this and being present as not just with people too, but I talked about gratitude, and the last step kind of went really quickly through that actually. But just taking the time and sitting outside. And I know I've been sitting out on my back patio just throwing the frisbee with the dogs and just being grateful that there's a breeze, or for clouds, that the feel of the grass. It's just weird to say that, but it's giving me another perspective and really changing how I think and how I view different things. And I'm starting to see different things I didn't see before. Wow, this, feel the grass, it feels really good right now. Or notice things about people, man, you're really talented at this. Why haven't I noticed that before? And acknowledging those people for their work and their effort, everything that they're putting in. And so being present, I think, is a key thing to do. And it's just, like I said, all these things are little things that can be done, that you can start doing, that will add up to an overall big result. And I think these are all things that happy people do. When I've sat here and I've reflected, so being strong in their faith, happy people are showing gratitude. They're appreciative for everything that they have. They're present in situations with people. They're present in their moment. They think about the future, but they don't dwell and linger on it. And I think that's where some of us can get caught up is, well, what if this happens? Or all the what ifs in the world. And when all we really need to do is just sit there, be present, and just enjoy the present. Take one day at a time, solve one problem, then move on to the next problem, and then go on, take it day by day. It's easier to solve one problem than try and solve all the problems at one time. And so, the fourth thing that I've thought about is that happy people, they find things to do that, that make them happy. And this one seems kind of like a duh, but I mean, before this, how many of us had time, before COVID, how many of us had time to go out and take a walk or to play a game or spend time with people? We weren't making time for ourselves, for our family. We weren't doing those things. Or maybe there's a hobby that you enjoy. I think back to when I was younger. I really loved doing model airplanes, creating, painting. I love the whole like building aspect of it. It was so cool. And so, but through that, like it gave me something to do. It helped me pass the time. And it also gave me a community of things to people to participate and talk with. And so it's just, it's important that we don't leave ourselves out of the equation. We oftentimes, a lot of what I'm saying, what I'm going to continue saying, is that we need to be there for other people and do things for people, not because we expect things in return, but because it's good things to do and we want to help people feel better. And so, but it's important not to forget about yourself too. And so finding out what are things that you enjoy doing. Like I was talking about my model airplanes. When I enjoyed going and seeing the different conventions, and it gave me something to talk about with people other than just work. And I mean, how many of us have been there and we're like, oh, cool, yeah. So, how's work? Yeah. And then you don't know what to say after that. I mean, having your own hobby or having something that you can do, or reading a book. Man, I was just reading this really great book. I know we've talked about several, and I've finally got around to reading The Alchemist, which I highly recommend you do. And it's talking about going on your life journey, I believe. I'm terrible at quoting things from books, but we all have our journey. And, it's finding your interest in your hobbies along the way, I think, is part of it. And that's what makes life so exciting and interesting and easier to be present. And so make sure that you're taking the time and finding, and we have bukus of time. Now, whether we want it or not, some of us, we're forced into it. But I mean, it's time to take advantage of it. And maybe it's doing something like video editing or creating your own video shorts, doing graphics or painting or what have you. I mean, just finding something to kind of take your mind off of everything and just kind of give you some peace, because that's really what it does. Is that when I was doing my model airplane sets, I would just sit there and it was just peaceful. I could just do that. I didn't have to focus about anything. It was almost like I just kind of emptied my brain. And so I always felt refreshed after doing that. So the next thing, the fifth thing on the list, is to do things for others. So I just talked about doing stuff for yourself, but to go out and just do things for others. Like I said earlier, it's not doing things with the expectation that you're going to get something in return. It's doing something just to help out and be nice. And that those random acts of kindness, I mean, those are the things that people talk about. And this one's for you too, but it's also for the helping other people and helping them find happiness and joy. I remember people would come to work and they'd be like, you will not guess, somebody paid for my Starbucks this morning. And so they paid it back. They paid it forward. But that's all they talked about, like the whole day. And it was kind of, at first it was annoying, but like thinking back, like that's really cool, because that one little small act had such a big impact on somebody that it changed their day. Smiling at somebody, saying, hey, how are you? I mean, just simple things. It doesn't have to be like a big grand gesture. You don't have to go out and spend a bunch of money, but finding different ways to interact and just do things for other people. Holding the door. If you see somebody that's struggling, ask if they need help. I mean, just different things. Your neighbor's elderly and they can't keep up their yard, so maybe you just go and you just mow their yard for them. I mean, there's many different things, and this is really cool because I like it because it's I like to think of myself as more of a creative person. And so like just being creative in the ways that you can reach different people and spread and share that happiness. So, because here's what it does. When I think of people that are doing good things for other people, it says, hey, I'm in a good spot myself. And honestly, I don't really think of many feelings that are better than seeing somebody else's joy. Like, especially if you are the one that caused it, you did something well. For me, it's similar to that feeling. Parents out there, you might have seen this too, or when you're teaching your child, or in my case, teaching my student something, and all of a sudden the light just clicks and boom, they're like, oh, what? They get it, and it's such a great feeling because you just see the happiness, the pride, the joy, everything, all these like great emotions just expressed in just this child's face, and just this sense of, wow, I did it. And it's one of those feelings where you just sit there and you're in awe, and it's not about us, you know. And so it's a powerful thing to go out and just help somebody else. So and then my last thing, the sixth item on the list to help grow in your happiness, is to exercise and eat/drink well. And I think everybody says eat right, drink right, you know, but it's important. I think eating and drinking well is a good starting point, you know. You don't have to be on like a strict diet. It's just making sure you're making good choices with what you're putting into your body. And apart from like there's obviously like the physical effects of it, where like if you're working out, you're eating right, you're gonna start looking better. And I think it's hard for some of us to even look ourselves in the mirror, and because we just tend to see the flaws, and what we should be seeing is our own beauty. And you know, we're the ones that are responsible for our change. We have to take ownership of that. And so, but what I like about exercising and how that helps me to be happy is that it gives me these little accomplishments. I've talked several times about all these little things that build up to different things. I'm able to do a lift I wasn't able to do, so I was able to, that I failed at the week before. Or, man, I crushed this 5K, or I crushed my time in the mile run that I just did the week before. Little things like those give you accomplishments, and you start to feel like, wow, yeah, I can do this. I can take on the world. I can do that. And so, again, it's not just like an instantaneous, like, boom, I work out. And I think a lot of people get discouraged because you don't see the results and the thing, but we need to look at these smaller things. I can't do pull-ups. And so for a whole month, I would go in and I'd go and work on my pull-up, and it was frustrating because I felt like I was not getting anywhere, but I noticed I was getting a little higher, and a little higher. And so eventually I was able to do one pull-up. That's my limit, guys. That's my limit, one pull-up. But, you know, but it's those small things. And I think for me, like, I want to be in a position and I want to be in a place where I can do like 20. 10 is probably a more reasonable goal in the short term, but 20 is definitely possible in the long term as well. But it's just making sure you have those set things, and it's easy to get discouraged along the way, especially when it comes to fitness and health, because you don't see results right away. And like I said, you have to see the small things. And sometimes you look in the mirror and you don't feel like you have, but your waistline is cutting it, you know, like it's a little looser there. So, you know, just all things to consider. And I've noticed that since I've been working out, like, I feel like I have a little bit more energy. I'm able to go do things when I eat right, when I have, so one meal that I've done, so like fish and vegetables. If I just keep it simple and clean like that, I feel like I have more energy. I want to go out and eat. Whereas, I think about my Thanksgiving dinners. I think everybody's been there where you just eat and you eat, and it's a whole bunch of carbs and a whole lot of things that just go in, and then I just want to just lay there, and it's but it's totally different how what you put into your body. Like, it's different, because if I were to eat a whole bunch of fish and vegetables and just overload on the vegetables instead of the carbs, after that Thanksgiving dinner, I'd be more like, hey, yeah, let's go Black Friday shopping. I hate Black Friday shopping, and I'm not going to do that. But, I would have more energy to do that if I wanted to. And it's just so, and the whole point with the whole exercising and eating right is that you have more energy. And when you have more energy, you're feeling better. You're going to be a happier person. It's hard to be happy when you feel like crud. It is. You're sitting there like you're in pain. It's not a good feeling. So you got to take care of yourself. This is another instance where you got to take care of yourself. Sometimes you have to put other people on hold while you take care of yourself, just because that health is so important. And a lot of us want to be there for our children, our grandchildren. We want to be there in the future. And starting with your health is a good way. So that wraps up my list of 6 ways to be happy, as dictated and spoken to you by me, Jacob New. So to recap the 6 different ways, the first way is to be strong in your faith. Remember, it's faith. And God is a very powerful thing and can transform you in ways that you never even thought were possible. Showing gratitude is our second way. And that's just being thankful and showing thanks for anything that you have. It's hard to get more when you are not grateful what you already have and what you can appreciate. The third is to be present and just enjoy the little things. Let those little things build up. And so show people that you care by being actively engaged in that conversation, being there for people, just being there. So being present is number 3. Number 4 is to find things that you enjoy doing and just find some time for you. Finding that hobby. It gives you a chance to just kind of clear out your brain, do you. Who is you? I don't know. That's for you to figure out. So use that as other conversation too. So number 5 is to do things for others and to give. When it's generally it's the people that are doing this that are in a place of happiness, and like I was talking about earlier, it's seeing the joy in other people's faces, especially if you've caused it, that lead us to be happier people. So do things for others just because that's just a nice thing to do. And we want to help make our world a better place. And last but not least, we got our exercise and eating and drinking well, because it's hard for you to be happy when you do not feel good at all. And so make sure you're being a little bit more conscientious of what it is that you're putting into your body, and the work that you're giving your body, making sure that you're building up those muscles so that you can do the things that you want to do. Be there when you want to be there. This has been a great episode. I've enjoyed sharing everything that I've been thinking about with y'all. And I hope you guys have enjoyed it and gotten at least one thing out of it that you can be like, oh yeah. And so, as always, if you learn to do one thing, learn to make a difference. Y'all have a good night.